What's up everybody, it's your boy MYP Music. In today's video we're going to go through the song by Ellie Goulding, Slow Grenade. Like any GarageBand project, we start with the tempo and the key. The tempo of this, or the BPM of this song, is 142. The key signature is A major. The chords that I use in this track are the following. Okay, moving to the main keys I use. Like any track, I like to start with the chords just to have a balance of what I am doing. So shall we start with this first, which is the satellite key. And the satellite key can be found in, we've used this in previous video, but it's quite easy to find, is the synth pad satellite keys. And just copy these settings. Let's go into the edit mode. And these are the keys that I use, or the chords that I use. You can just copy and paste this into your own project, and it's just the same thing. It's the same chords going through the final part of the chorus. The song itself have different sections, and I chose the last section of the song just because it made sense to do so on GarageBand. Shall we just hear it by itself? Very simple chords. After that, I started working on another synth. In this case, the synth I use, synth pad, I would say, was an Archiming synth. And if you tap on pads, and you'll be presented with some more menus. And the pad I use is Analog Silk. And just basically copy and paste these settings. And if you scroll to the right, make sure this is the same. And that's it. I just copied these chords. I'll show you just quickly. If you copy these chords, you can duplicate it and change the instrument just like this. Go to Archiming synth pad and Analog Silk, and just paste the same chords. Let's delete this. Okay. Let's just hear it together again. After that, I started adding some more texture to the main chords. So I decided to use the same synth twice, and this one will be the higher octave. So let's just isolate this two because I did the same thing, and let's just hear it quickly before I break it down. So as you see, they are the same notes, so the same the same notes. I just duplicated it even up to 3 times. Actually, let's play this one too. And this one is the octave is -2, and this one the octave is normal, and this one is -2. Okay, let's just go into the edit mode quickly before we break it down further. If you want to copy these notes, let me just see if we can zoom it a little bit for you guys. Does it? Just copy these notes. And they are all notes from the A major scale. Once you've got that, I'll just show you guys the instrument I used. In this case, I used the pumping out waves, which can be found again in Archiming synth, where you go into the rhythmic and pumping out waves. I didn't change anything in the settings, I just tapped the sweeper. And that's the same thing for the next one. And for the third one, I chose a bass pattern. which can be found again in the Remake, is the first one that you see. And the notes are just copy and paste. After that, we started. You don't really need to use this, but I decided to add a bit more texture to the song by just having a short arpeggio type synth. And the one I chose, if you go to the archiving synth again, arpeggiated fluid motions. And I choose the bright thin legato. And if you just copy these settings. Okay, so let's just isolate it quickly and hear it again. And after that, I started working on the kicks and the snare. So let's just isolate, as I always use the same type of pack. As you guys know, is the tie trap, which can be found in electronics, tie trap. And if you go into the, you can find it here when you tap on the acoustic drums. You'll be presented with this menu. You tap on it and you go electronics. Then you can look for it in tie trap in the very bottom of the screen. Let's just get rid of this again and go back to the kicks. So I'll just quickly play the kicks and we go into the edit mode. Okay, let's go into the edit mode and zoom out, and just, if you can, copy this pattern. It's quite tricky to copy it, but if I zoom in a little bit, because they're all the same, let me zoom in and you can see the pattern a bit more clearer. You see the first one at the beginning, the second one after this, 1 2 3 square, and the same thing again, 1 2 and 1 1. It's just the same thing over again. Very simple kick pattern. And the reason I use two of them is because I like to have more bouncy type kick, just to give it a bit more depth. Then I started working on the snare. I chose two snares. This is the main snare, which is again from the tight trap pack. Yeah, I think it's this one or this one. Let's hear it by itself. So basically it's just a snare. I think it's one of the snares that are hidden in the pack. So you have to go through it after you've tap on edit. And it's just one snare every two blocks from the beginning. So it's 1 2 1 2 snare, 1 2 snare, and that's about it really. And for the second snare, which I added for a bit more depth, I chose the trap door, and which is, I think, is the one after. Yeah, it's the one after. And you go into edit mode, and the same thing is 1 every 2, so 2 small squares, or just copy and paste from the previous one. And I added just an EQ to remove the attention from that specific snare. It's very simple to do. You go into visual EQ and you remove the high ends. And after that, you have this together. It's like a basic pop type loop, I would say. Let's play it. Very simple pop type loop, and afterwards you've pretty much done with the track. So let's just remove everything and hear everything together. Then I will go through the last final bit. That was very strong, guys. You can see the production behind Ellie Goulding is really top notch. Anyway, if you left the track like this, is okay, but there's always gonna be something missing. And like usual, we always like to have some Apple loops. So I chose 2 loops in this case just to add that extra texture. If you listen to the section I'm working on in the song, there's a little bit of a hi-hat and a slight beat to make it more lively. Okay, and let's zoom in a little bit so we can know exactly which loop did I use. I used the which one is it? The around the block hi-hat. So if you go here into your upper loops, if you tap in genre and go to into hip hop R&B, and you type around the block, and you're presented with this, and you go through it and you look for this one. After you've done that, you don't want the whole thing. You don't want the whole thing because it just doesn't go well. You make sure the looping is been unselected. You press done. Then you can add the different ways you can do this. You can reduce the size like this, and which is like reduce the size to basically where this little thing is, just about here. It's very important that you do this, or you can just let's put it back, or you can just select it, tap it, and press split, and just move this down, and that would remove it, and you can just delete this off. Either way that works for you. Once you've done that, you select it again, you go into settings, and you press loop, and that gives you this. So let's just hear it by itself. It's just basically a hi-hat. So you make sure that it's very simple hi-hat, because without you selecting it, let's just go back to its original form. Let's hear it again. You can hear that you don't want that. That's more like a proper rap R&B type hi-hat. We don't want that. I don't think Ellie Goulding does that kind of stuff. Okay, so after you've done that, you've got the hi-hat sorted out. We can go back, and there's just one thing we like to do. Obviously, we reduce the volume just about here, and just like what we always do, we always want to remove the attention from the hi-hat. If not, it overwhelms the track. Then after you do that, you just basically come here into the EQ, visual EQ, and you cut off the high ends and the low ends and don't touch the mid, and it sounds pretty cool that way. So let me just demonstrate this. So if we play it without the EQ, and let's just isolate this, and just play with the visual EQ. It sounds much more away from the track. Okay, similar thing we do with the next one. The next one is just basically the same thing, the same settings. So if we go here, first thing we add a visual EQ, and we do a similar high end and low end cutoff. Press done, and as you can see, I chopped the original into half, just to the slightly away point. In this case, I chose number 2, just because it sounded a bit better that way. But you can do whatever you want. And once you're done, you loop it, and reduce the volume, and let's just get both of them together. Wow, I love just the groove itself. You can actually make a whole beat out of just those 2 loops, and that's it. That's it for this track. The next one is just the vocals, which is basically the a cappella of the song. I can't play it because of copyright reason, but if you want to listen to it, if you're interested in listening to it and how it sounds together, I normally post the version of the beat with the vocals on my Instagram post. If you look into the description below, you can actually tap into it and follow me on Instagram, and keep up to date with my tracks. Anyway, that's it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, And I hope to see you guys in the next one, and goodbye.